Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and me want go home.
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle, and welcome, my friends, to Cobra Convergence 5! Oh yeah, it's that time of the year again. Cobra content by a different creator every day for all of August. For my own contribution, well, there can be a yin without a yang. So, after last week's top 5 best Cobra troops, it's only fair that this week I run down my top 7 worst Cobra troops. And like last time, I've confined the choices to toys from the original G.I.Joe line. But there will be once again one exception. Though, to be honest, most of the modern figures ranged from okay to fine, so they wouldn't have made this list anyway. I will give one dishonorable mention to the 2004 Eel Viper, that's version 8, because man, that thing looks ugly. Ugly colors, disproportionate body, and no face mask. So, consider this number 8 on the list as a little bonus. With that out of the way, let's dig in, shall we? Number 7. Neon Recolors of older figures. Yeah, I'm starting off by cheating and lumping a bunch of figures in the number 7 spot, because frankly, otherwise most of this list would be neon colors, and I want to make it at least a bit diverse. But I still really want to dunk on these too! These figures include the likes of the Flag Viper, who went from a fairly inoffensive blue to frickin' orange. The Interrogator, who went from cool looking to whatever the hell this is. Headhunter version 2, who got an ugly green shoulder pad. And yes, he counts, as version 2 was a member of Cobra. He no longer worked for the Headman. And worst of all, there's Eel Viper version 3. Yeah, version 2 was a fairly cool yellow colored one. And then they remade him using my favorite color of all time, neon orange. So here they are, all lumped together in their eye-soaring glory. Well, at least we got all of that out of the way early. Number 6. Technoviper version 2. Proof positive right here that it doesn't take neon to make a recolor look hideous. This figure made the list because the first version was very, very close to making my best troopers list. And this thing is a real disappointment as a follow-up. By the way, I'm showing you photos from eBay because the only one I have is still sealed in his box. And I like y'all, but not enough to turn a $250 toy into a $50 toy. The bronze paint makes it look like he's covered in rust, and the lack of Cobra symbol makes his chest look unfinished and bland. A real disservice to the original. Oh, and spoilers, that's gonna be a bit of a theme! Number 5. Viper version 4 from 1994. It's not just recolors that can turn out disastrously, folks, but also reimaginings. Look, just on its own, this isn't such a bad figure, so it's only number 5 on the list. But the problem is they called it a Viper, whose look I called iconic at least twice last week. And this thing doesn't remind me of a Viper, not even a little bit. If anything, it vaguely reminds me of Toxo Vipers. Look, if this was a new character like, I don't know, the Sewage Viper or something, it wouldn't have made the list. But because it's such a huge departure from the original, it does. And speaking of a huge departure from the original... Number 4. Eel's version 2. Remember last week when I said I really liked the eel and how realistic it looks? Well, meet the exact frickin' opposite of that. Like the Viper, I actually don't think this is a horrible figure. But when you put it next to the original, you could hardly believe they were from the same toy line, let alone that they're supposed to be the same character. And it looks worse than the Viper, so it gets number 4. Number 3. Cobra La Royal Guard. And speaking of belonging in another toy line, there's this guy. I was gonna put just one figure from Monster Month on here, and the Monstro and Bio Vipers do have their charm. So my hatred for G.I. Joe the movie won out. Yeah, Insect Boy here doesn't really belong in a lineup of Cobra troops. You could say he stands out, but he's in no way an outstanding figure. And apart from all that, he's just ugly. Number 2. Python Patrol Crimson Guard. Yeah, if you've ever seen this show, you knew this was inevitable. The yellow, the... What? Oh, sorry, I got confused and picked up the wrong figure. Easy mistake to make, they're so similar. So yeah, Crimson Guard version 2, the Python Patrol one. I don't think you could have a bigger departure from the original color scheme. and it's hideous. But don't just take my word for it. Please welcome for the 5th time in a row to Cobra Convergence, Other Steve, aka Form BX257.
Hey, Form BX257 here, and my vote for the worst Cobra Trooper is the 1989 Python Patrol Crimson Guard. Not only is he kind of a redundant officer type in a very small sub-team, I feel that he could have been taken up by a more appropriate figure, like let's say a vehicle driver, 1986 Python Patrol AVAC, or maybe a 1986 Python Patrol Motor Viper, to go along with those driverless vehicles that this sub-team got. On top of that, well, he's a Crimson Guard, but, well, where is the Crimson?
Thanks, Other Steve. And now we come to the exception I was talking about at the beginning of this episode, as I'm also putting the modern version of the Python Patrol Crimson Guard here to share the number 2 spot. Number 2. Pun wasn't even intended. I'm including it because it's the same goddamn concept in a modern construction. Yeah, they felt this figure needed a new version. These toys get the penultimate spot not just because they are really bad looking, but because they are such a betrayal of the original concept. Before I reveal my own number 1 worst Cobra Trooper, I'm gonna let a few other people chime in. So, please welcome Steve, aka HCC788, and Steve the Third, aka SAO Toy Review.
My least favorite Cobra Trooper is this one, the 1992 Viper. It was the pilot of a battlecopter. I think this figure was hit with the ugly stick. There are 3 colors on this figure total. There's a dark purple, a light purple, and an orangey red, and I don't think those colors go well together at all. The figure is made up of entirely reused parts. The head is from the Snow Serpent, the body is from the Night Viper, both superior figures to this one. He has one weapon, but that's another reissue of the Night Viper's rifle. I can't find many redeeming qualities for this figure. It stinks.
Hey Timmer, it's good to see you're behaving this year during Cobra Convergence. Kevin here from SEO Toy Review. My least favorite Cobra Trooper is the Shadow Ninja Night Creeper. The Ninja Force Night Creeper is a weird guy with a robotic helmet, not a whole lot of sculpted on details, and then they stripped him of almost all his paint details, molded him some weird color change plastic so he has inviso power. He's really the bottom of the barrel in my book.
Thanks, Steves. And now, number 1, the Cyber Viper. Okay, so when I reviewed this figure, the title of the frickin' episode was literally Cyber Viper, the worst Viper ever. So it would be pretty hypocritical of me to not put it in the number 1 spot here. But honestly, I haven't changed my opinion. This figure is like the Voltron of neon colors. This is what Hasbro thought futuristic hackers would look like. Okay, so they couldn't have known that a hacker would turn out to be just some guy who emails you pretending to be your boss to get your password. But I still feel this is pretty far off the mark. They say the cream always rises to the top. In this case, it's the cream found on top of a pig feces lagoon. I could go on ranting, but I already did an entire video on this piece of dreck, so it's already gotten more attention than in the last 26 years. And that was my list. And if any of you out there actually like some of the figures I've talked about here, that's perfectly fine. This is all just my personal taste. If one of these toys is one of your favorites, hey, more power to you. And do let me know in the comment section below what some of your own least favorite troopers are. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody. And since it is Cobra Convergence and all, I think we'll do something Cobra related next week too. Oh, and like, share, and subscribe, would you? If that's your thing.
Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight